So then he said, how big's your... Oh, we're on.
What happened to the opener?
I don't know.
Oh.
Had a button push. Missed a button. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you going? Welcome to the show. It's a little weird one tonight. I'm joined by another little weird. Well, he's kind of big.
Excellent. So you've heard. That's what all the girls say.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rob from the Galactic Larrikins. So we normally have Bradford on tonight because he's been too much of a star on other people's channels. We've let Rob take the seat because, let's face it, it's just the way that things should be. Share the love around.
Diversity. It's
Absolutely.
the term of the 22nd century or whatever we're up to.
Now,
21st century.
You've done a bit of a drive today. You've come from Canberra to Melbourne. You have crossed both the Murray River and the Goulburn River. Did you take any notice as you went past?
We tried to. We were really hoping for a little rest stop to have a little look, but couldn't really see it. But all the creeks around it were all all swollen.
Yeah.
Lots of trees down. So obviously the large amount of rain and then the wind, I guess, but lots of trees down.
Yep. Now, through Northeast Victoria and in New South Wales, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
From, pretty much just outside of Canberra down. Down. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we came through the other day, the Murray, just the New South Wales side of Albury, was not blocking the hume at all, but each side of it was blown out. And we noticed really a theme of our whole trip down was how much lying water there was on properties. I imagine that's only increased in the last few days, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say so,
Yeah. So if you
just how wet the ground is, as things are falling over, I noticed like road signs and things like that had just been blown over. And, because it's just the ground is just
so soft. Yeah. So any more rain coming our way, which we believe is coming to Melbourne Friday, and then staying around for a week or so, that's going to make life real unpleasant, I guess, because it's all going to be extra runoff. And I think that's why Dan the Man has been saying on what little mainstream media I've seen in the last few days, he's saying that Northeast Victoria can expect this sort of weather for at least the next 6 to 8 weeks. So take that into account. The snow melt is still happening. There's still a lot of snow on the Victorian Alps. And I'm rightly, wrongly, incorrectly thinkingly may have had an expectation that a bit of rain and it'll all melt and we'll get it all over in one go. That's not the case. And people who are in Victoria at the moment and who have been, anywhere down on the south coast of Victoria, we're down Frankston, Mornington Peninsula way, it has been bloody cold. And that's from a Queenslander. But 5 degrees overnight, I would say even Victorians say that's pretty cold. Now, there's a very cold wind that accompanies that, so the wind chill factor lowers that again. Now, just imagine, even if there is a bit of rain pouring on the mountains, and we're meant to be melting the snow and ice up there, and it's coming down the mountains, the rain has started to melt a lot of it, but it is also being melted in very cold conditions. Very strong, cold winds blowing onto those mountains means that the thaw is slower. It's less intense. And the amount of rain that's dumped on it doesn't yield the melt flow, if you like. I'm making words up here, but the melt flow of what's on the ground. So therefore, the rain that's already been on the Alps at the moment, where we might have expected a lot more water to come down, hasn't. This was my thought the other day when I heard Dan Andrews say, next 6 to 8 weeks, going to be wet. And I'm thinking, how are they going to sustain that unless they're going to create thunderstorms and all that? How are they going to sustain a flood for 6 to 8 weeks? And the only way you can do that is with a shitload of water. And where is that shitload of water? Still on the mountain. So cold weather for the next week in Victoria. The thaw is going to slow. All that, rain, if you like, is just going to wash down. And what doesn't wash down is going to turn into ice and add to the flow at a later stage.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, that makes perfect sense. Very logical.
Because I'm making it up as I go along.
No, absolutely logical.
There is a bloke sitting here who's been very, very patient, and I actually invited him on tonight not to talk about this at all, but he'll tell me if I'm wrong. Good evening, Guru.
Hey, guys. How you going? Hey, Rob.
Guru, how are you, mate?
How are you? Yeah, look, I got a comment on that, Carl, and that is that I'm already getting word from the farmers that the ground's too wet to plant seed for next year. These guys have orchestrated this food thing perfectly. Okay, if only we had them on our side, we would have won this before they started. But yeah, these guys are very sick. They have this very well planned, folks, and not to be a doom glower or so, but get ready. All right, get ready because they're setting it in play. All right, and they have weather tech. All right, they have all the, you guys that research the companies, you know what's going on. Okay, they control the weather. All right, it's not hard for them. All right, and they time it all for the, breaking of the Cubby Dam, the Lachlan River flooding. Now we got, like you say, the rain coming, the snow coming off the Alps. It's all orchestrated, folks, to break her. Don't let them break her. Please don't let them break her. We got to win this.
And this is where being prepared comes in, because it's going to be harder to break if you've got a bit of an inkling of what's coming and can prepare a bit for it. I mean, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, woe is me for the next 6 to 8 weeks listening to Dan, by the end of it, you'll be glad because he'll be handing out money, lots of it, right in time for the election.
Fake fiat money.
Fake fiat money. Well, the Victorian election, I think, is on the 26th of November. So, I don't know. Will there be a Victorian election? I think that's a question.
Yeah. I think there will be, actually. I think there'll be an election. I think they'll steal it. They've already told us that. He's got a 43% margin or something, you know what I mean? Or, so we know what their playbook is. Their playbook is they'll run an election, they'll steal it, and they'll watch us bang our heads up against brick walls trying to do something about it again for the next, I don't know, but to segue into what I did come on for, Carl, this is why this weekend's so important, folks, to get together again. All right, this neutrality, all around the country. It was going to be in Sydney, Simi and I were talking, and it was going to be Sydney, and next minute he's rung me up and gone, man, it's all around the country. It's going to go off. So, folks, this is a chance again for us to start and regroup. You know what I mean? And get together, all right? And this is something for everybody. This is both sides of the dice, all right? This is left and right, okay? This is Liberal, Labor. This is everybody. We do not have a dog in this war. We are not part of NATO. This has nothing to do with us. Where's the $1 billion we sent over? Why can't we send it down to Melbourne? You've got to be, now the SES workers down there, after all the mandates and everything being lifted, the bullshit game they're playing, you can't go out and help the flooded victims unless you're triple jabbed. You've got to have had your booster now. This is the latest thing to come out down there, Carl. These guys are frigging evil, mate.
I actually
country, and stop it. That's when we stop it.
Now that you've mentioned that, I just need to see if no, that's not it. I don't think I've got it on this computer. Let me see if I can transfer it. But just on that point, maybe it's better that I'm being given this for a reason. Thank you, Lord. I can talk obliquely because I was going to show you a text message exchange that is quite frightening. It is a text message exchange from a qualified, fully qualified SES volunteer, and he is volunteering to his SES captain that his services are available to come and help during the flood and anything he can do. I think there's a CFA element of this involved as well. And the text message exchange is essentially about the spicy dart and have you had it or not. This goes back to what happened in Lismore when the floods came through, where those people who hadn't had the spicy dart but were fully trained SES or, emergency first responder type people weren't allowed to go and help the places, their mates that they trained with, all because they hadn't had the spicy dart. So absolute stupidity on the behalf of the emergency services to turn down volunteers. But I have a sneaking suspicion that in Victoria, at least, like they did in New South Wales at that time, those people did the right thing, took their own boats out, took their own safety equipment, took their own lives and responsibility for them to go out and help save people rather than wait for an undercrewed SES crew to turn up, maybe too late. So you remember, Dave, during those floods, the huge amount of people in Lismore who couldn't get assistance from emergency services, right?
Yeah.
And what did they do? They didn't sit there and say, "Oh shit, woe is me." They went and got in their boats and they went and saved people's lives.
Right. You know my Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot channel, Carl? You know where that come from? Me and my wife were lucky enough to have a person when the fires were on down here, right? Where you're getting flooded now. We had the fires through 3 years ago, right? 2 or 3 years ago. So me and my wife were lucky enough to have some people contact my channel and say, I've got 1,500 care packages here that need to go out. So we got them from Sydney down to my place at Wollongong. My mate gave me a Pantech. You know what I mean? Like, you know, people just throw in, right? Next minute, the community's coming around. We got water, we got food, we got care packages. We're off down the coast in the fires, right? While the fires are on, we got a rendezvous point. I got a daughter down the coast. We get a contact with a boat. We're putting stuff straight into the fire at Conjola by water, all right? We done 3 loads and then we got pulled up by the government because we couldn't risk ourselves going in there. They were stopping us going. Yeah, I'm telling you.
You couldn't take responsibility for your own life.
Yeah. And on the way home, Carl, I said to Mel, I'm over this. And I just come up with this Facebook page, Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot. And that's actually where I made that page at. And it just sat around for a while until I actually ignited it when this war come on, you know. But, yeah, funnily enough, that's where it come from. We were stopped helping people.
Yep. Now that you mentioned, Facebook pages, folks, the Voice of Freedom does not have a Facebook page, right? We don't. I see today somebody has sent me a link to one that pertains to be the Voice of Freedom. Now, I don't care what you want to call yourself, but I just want you folks to know that the Voice of Freedom, any Voice of Freedom on Facebook is not me. I don't care if you want to go and watch what they do. That's great. You know, by all means.
Don't get sucked in by them. Yeah.
Well, I would. I'll probably. Somebody sent me the link, and weird as shit, disappeared off my phone. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not the world's greatest technology geek. We all know this. Can we? Yeah. Yes, I have galactic larrikins nodding everywhere, and
not that we're any experts, but
I think Neo's
the benchmark's
nodding.
pretty low, and geez.
So we got the whole crew there. The 3 years are there.
No, Mark's unfortunately had to go and mow lawns in Newcastle while the grass grows, I suppose.
He's going to join you in Sydney, though, for the Cossack.
All right. Has he got floaties on his lawnmower, has he? Has he got floaty things that, like, hold it up so he can actually get it to cut? Yeah.
No.
It's one of the 80s style where it hovers, you know. Remember those old ones?
Oh, yeah, the Flymo. The Flymo.
We shouldn't be laughing about controlled government weather. But anyway, we've got it.
Mark's coming down to your event, actually. So,
cool. I'll see him there.
He'll be there on the day. Let me stick the sticker up. It covers Rob's head nicely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm going to dig it now.
So that's happening. This is just the Sydney event, but I should point out, and I guess we can make a collective decision here and now. We'll go to the Parliament steps on Saturday at midday. Got nowhere else to be.
Yeah, well, it's at Parliament House, Melbourne. It's at Parliament House, Melbourne.
So we'll head to the steps of Parliament House on in Melbourne on Saturday and be there for midday. I don't have a PA. I don't have a megaphone. I'm not going to yell. I don't really get up and make public speeches, but I'm not there to make a speech. If anybody else wants to stand up in solidarity with this, I'll put this back up again because, you know, Rob was smiling far too much. Well, he attracts he gets all the good women that come over, you know. I mean, okay, most of them are married, but, you know, and they're just saying, I won't tell you what they're saying.
I've got so many comments from the 90s I could say, but it's so politically correct. I'm not even game.
I'll just see if I can find the other brochure, Carl, while we're here, mate.
One? Yeah, cool. So I'm sure, as you said, and the Cossack is implored with me, this is an organic kind of thing. So this is me raising the hand up and saying we've got to go into the city around about that time anyway. So we can maybe go in a little bit earlier and do our bit. So absolutely.
Okay. No, that's great. Yeah, we've got a few people. We hopefully in Sydney we know we've got Ricardo. I'm going to get him on a phone call to address the crowd.
Yeah, great.
Jamie McIntyre has put something together for us. Couldn't be there; he's overseas. But Jamie's actually put a little bit together for us that he wants us to play in the crowd.
I was trying to buy a bus that he once owned.
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
This bloke used to. Did you hear that?
Brad and I used to work for Jamie back in 10 years ago, so back in the 21st century.
But anyway, he wanted to have a word.
I would definitely run a black light over that bus.
He didn't call me back. Not that I had the money he wanted for it anyway, but I thought we might be able to come to terms on a reasonable deal. But anyway, something called me back overseas, and that was the end of that.
Yeah. So, and the idea of this is reach. You know what I mean? We've all got to use each other to get the word out. And the word is that, like I said, we don't have a dog in this fight. We're not part of NATO. The ramifications going forward, if we get involved in this war, people, is not worth knowing about. And apart from that, when do they ask me, about this $1 billion they wanted to send over to Ukraine? You know what I mean? How? Why? 381st, then all the Bush Rangers, now another 500 million. Next, they're going to send our brothers over there to fight. I wouldn't be surprised if we already have people on the ground over there. It would not surprise me. Hopefully we don't.
Well, there's probably people training already. Training them.
Most of the forces are made up from what we would call back in the day mercenaries, but that's now illegal. You're not allowed to have mercenaries, so they're called PMCs, private military contractors. And when the military-industrial complex, the American CIA and everything, as they're going around the world doing all these wars, like in Afghanistan and Iraq and all that sort of stuff, they create these PMC groups. And then what have I said?
Yeah, what have I said? Blackwater to you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
they changed the name to keep on doing it.
Yeah, it's changed again now.
Exactly right. They use that all around the world, and then they bring in these PMC groups to run, to fight. Yeah, so, and that's why they're all American military weapons and all that sort of stuff. But it's big money. This is the military-industrial complex. This is how it works, and why we have to contribute as well. It's our little grift and payoff to the military-industrial complex.
Dave, you mentioned something really important there, and I've just forgotten what it was.
Oh, don't know. I got on to the military-industrial
complex. I know, and that
I can go back to
Blackwater.
Blackwater. Good old.
Thank
Blackwater.
You. Now. We've had a discussion, and I think I've spoken privately to others maybe about, and certainly heard from other sources, about this FBI raid the other day. When I say FBI raid, it was a raid on the FBI building in Washington, D.C. A lot of people have been aware of that. They've seen vision of explosions and flashbangs, what looks to be flashbangs in my opinion anyway, going off. We've heard through channels that the people throwing the flashbangs and running through the corridors were in fact Blackwater. Now, people might think, oh, well, Blackwater, but some might say, well, that rings a bell. Now, I'm pretty confident they were a contracted military organization in Iraq that ran the Abu Ghraib detention facility. And they were kicked out of Iraq and I think lost their military contract. Some people went to jail and some people were never caught for some things that Blackwater did or allegedly did in the name of the Americans and American flag.
I'll give you a quick rundown. Just a quick rundown on Blackwater.
Just throw in there. Is it? I want to say Prince is the guy who owns. Is it? Can't remember the guy who owns it.
Yeah, that's right, Prince. Yeah,
but he supported Trump, and he was the one that, or one of the insiders that told Trump all about how they were spying on him and all the details of it.
Yeah,
and
Eric Prince and Al Clark.
Cabal work.
Right. God, I'm thinking of Prince. How did he do any of this from lying dead in an elevator?
I'll bet. No, he's lying.
The two guys, the two founders of it. The two founders of it was Eric Prince and Al Clark, all right? And their history goes a bit like this, just quickly. 1997, Blackwater, USA. 1998, the training center opens. 2002, 2007, Blackwater Security Company. 2003 to 6, first contracts. Then they go into new training centres. Blackwater Worldwide, 2007, 2009. XE Services LLC, 2009, 2010. Then they go over to this thing called Academi and Costellus Holdings. So, you know, they got a board of directors. They got Maritime. I've been actually looking into them, Carl. So I just happen to have this on my computer at the moment. The tab's open. But yeah, they're private mercenaries, folks. That's what they are. But you got to understand that under the law of war manual, which is what we're operating under now, for anyone who knows, you know, we know that's where we are. So under the law of war manual, you are allowed to use private mercenaries to get the job done. So what we're saying is the Alliance got these guys, right, contracted them to go and do the job for them, and the job was done. Now, I don't care who these guys are, private mercenaries or whatever they are or what they do. I know a lot about them now, but all I'm worried about is they're doing a good job for us and they're getting paid to work on our side. You know, at this present time, that's all that matters in the war. And they prove that they are on our side by what went on at the FBI building. There was some big names went down there, I heard. Or
what happens if they miss a few and a couple of years down the track while they're all celebrating with their riches on a tropical island, somebody comes along and says, well, you missed me, and now I found this great big pot of gold. And I'm going to give it to you to do to them what you did to me.
I don't think there'll be enough of them left, Carl. I think there's one left, mate. He'd rather throw the towel in. And what I heard was they were under there for a little while. They actually had to force them into one area, prop up underneath that building. Otherwise, they would have took a lot of the building out when they threw the blast in. So they'd actually propped up on the way in there. Yeah, got them into a corner, and then they were asked to, you know, they were given a chance to come out. But there was a fair few entombed. That's the story.
Also, these days, and Edward Snowden revealed a lot of this, but even what we've grown up knowing, that with satellite, you know, since the 80s, satellites have been able to see the license plate on a car and read newspapers. We heard that in the 80s.
Yeah.
So imagine what they can do now. And Snowden revealed that the signals and intelligence, they monitor everything. All communications are all monitored. So
Five islands.
There's no running. They know everything, which makes them
5 islands more or less looked at all of us, Rob, you know, right through the whole Commonwealth. 5 islands, it's got every text message you and I, every website we've ever visited.
Your geolocation, everything. The thing tracks you, it listens to you, they've got everything. So no, there's no running, there's no hiding. And when the white hats are in control, well, then that means they've got control of all of this intelligence. So no, they know everything. And that means all the records of what's been going on. Which also then makes a mockery of, you see on the US, you know, border where all of the human trafficking going on, run by the cabal and the Biden administration, that with that technology, they know who the traffickers are. They know exactly what's going on. So that shows that the cabal, the clandestine operations, are still doing some nasty stuff.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to see this program once it disappears from YouTube, you'll find it on Project Matilda. I'll download it and re-upload it.
Sorry, got to use more code words. Which bit?
That's been Rob from the Galactic Larrikins, ladies and gentlemen. It's been bloody great.
Well, let's go back to the Fauci ouchie. We've already done this. We were talking about the SES workers not being able to work without their Fauci ouchie. Well, how ridiculous is it now where their authoritarians, or authoritative voices, which is the CDC and the WHO, all admit that the Fauci ouchie does not stop transmission. And now we've seen, what was it, the Pfizer CEO at the UN or whatever, admit that they never did. They never did. They knew that from the beginning. So what is their belief that why should the SES?
The community standards on YouTube is their belief.
No.
What is
SES what is their excuse for them needing to be Fauci ouchie? Because it doesn't stop transmission. So what? What's
Let me answer it.
Yes.
Let me answer it. Because they want to put you into turmoil and they want to kill you and they want to psychologically abuse you till you can't take any more, folks. Okay? And that's what they're going to try and do to you. So wake up, start talking to your neighbours. People are waking up. There's people dying everywhere. It is incredible, folks. Disclosure's here. You can't tell me it's not here. It is happening right now. All right. And it's starting to happen at a faster rate. And it's funny. I was just talking to the wife about it before. Very funny how it's all coming to the crescendo at the same time. You know, the deaths are coming, the awakening's coming. You know, everything's coming to this to this bubble, and this is all the more reason we need to stay out of this fight, because in the future, we don't know where it's going, folks. We really don't. We don't know how long this war. These guys want perpetual war. They don't want a war with a victory. What you use having a war with a victory? They want a perpetual war, the deep state, because they need to keep making money. They need to control us, keep us distracted, keep us under control. Okay. So, if you're looking for a winner here, the winner's Russia. Okay. But when are they going to win and what are they going to do? I don't know, because these guys just don't give up. They want perpetual war and they've started it now. The good thing is, I don't believe Biden and the deep state have the nuclear codes, and Cheyenne Mountain being shut or, presumably shut, whether we've got control in there or not at the moment, and they're still sitting in there, I don't know, but, shut from March or something, makes me feel very confident that Russia will do what they need to do the job and no more. Yeah.
How many months was it between withdrawal of Afghanistan, withdrawing out of one war and getting into the next?
Well, and they needed the distraction. They needed the distraction here too, Rob. We showed a clip of Beirut tonight on the show, right? And alongside the clip that supposedly, well, I don't know how to pronounce it. The one that starts with K, one of them ones over there. And anyway, in Ukraine, and the two clips side by side were the same thing. Now, one was Beirut, okay, and this one's here, and perfect. You know what I mean? You could see. So again, was Beirut, a lot of Beirut CGI as well? Was that really a film of Beirut we were watching, which was the same film as supposedly Ukraine? Or wasn't it Beirut? We don't know. Yeah. Because they just use CGI or whatever they friggin' want to use. And they put it on the telly and everyone believes it.
Earlier in the war, they got busted for using footage out of a video game that goes to Serbia or something. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a video game. They stole footage out of that and used it. Yeah, so. And
good on you, patriots and good people out there that actually jump on this stuff and pick it and expose it for us. And when we all grab hold of it and whack it out there, you guys are brilliant, mate. Brilliant. It's unreal.
Also, I noticed, I'll try to be careful what I say for Carl here, but it's sort of been known that like all these different wars, so the Vietnam War, the Golden Triangle was where all of the party materials came out of, and Afghanistan.
Things just went big. Had a big jump. I don't know if they did at your end, Guru. Big jump.
Yeah. During the last sort of couple of decades during the Afghanistan war, all of those nice little red flowers you see that grown everywhere, which are very valuable, that continued through the entire Afghanistan war, right up until very recently, where the party market has changed from a natural flower to a chemical substance, which I won't mention the name just in case. No worries. Okay. And all of those chemicals come from China as well. And then the precursors that come from China, they were then mass produced in Mexico, and the cartels then shifted over the border. So it's kind of odd because the CIA has always been sort of known for dabbling in
venting to your all. Venting to your all.
So the CIA has always run the party trade, the party material trade. And you can see they've made movies of it. If you remember Air America with Mel Gibson, talked about exactly that. Air America was the front, and it's quite, you can look up on Wikipedia of all things these days. And then what was it, Tom Cruise, one American Made, where again, they were talking about when the CIA ran the party materials coming up from the South America. So it's kind of, I think it's curious to look that now that Afghanistan's no longer needed for those party materials because we've moved from an organic material to a chemical material, a synthetic material. Interesting. Anyway, that's a random. Sorry for that guy, but try to talk in around things without saying actual words.
We know what the game plan is. We know what they're up to. It's us, the people, that we just got to get together, stand up, and stop it, guys. That's all it takes. We just got to stand up and stop.
And once again, folks, if you don't see me turn up on None 2K or whatever channel you happen to be watching, then go to Project Matilda.
And it was my fault.
And it was his fault.
Yeah, sorry.
We need to see you on Saturday, folks.
Saturday. Exactly right. Let me put the thing. You didn't happen to find the Brisbane. Let's talk about Brisbane too.
I think Mel sent it over.
Yeah. Did she?
Oh, you didn't send it to Carl, darling?
No, just you can share it.
You now, Carl. Yeah,
You
it just
can
gives you
send
all the capital cities. She's sending it now.
Oh, roger that. All right. Don't know how I'm going to say
Well,
it
I'm
in.
eating sayos and
Good on you.
is sayo's
well, I
safe,
know-
Rob? The sayo's all right. I got the Aldi's ones. You know what I mean? Because I think coming out of Germany, Europe, we might be a little bit safer than the Australian sort of like
No,
sayos.
man,
So,
I'd still be running a magnet over it.
yeah, you reckon?
Oh, you're asking me. I know nothing about sayos. I heard horrible stories when I
See,
was a kid. And
now,
I went,
are you-
"No, I
Are you a
soggy
sayo
ones.
or a salada bloke, or do you prefer? Do you have a choice?
I get whatever the wife brings into the boat, and I check the label on to make sure I'm not getting poisoned. It's in your email now. Carl.
Thank you. I must be like living the dream or something, because not that I turn my nose up at a sayo, but I'd have sayo with I'd have a sayo with I don't know, gherkin and maybe some cheese and salami, maybe, a bit like that. But if I want to have something, anything good, like Vegemite and cheese or something, it has to be a salada.
Yeah.
There you go.
We got used to eating them in Fiji. There's a long story about Fiji, which you can check out on the Galactic Larrikins channel sometime in the future when we actually make it. But a long time ago in Fiji, living on an island, and they call them breakfast crackers, and but basically so, and they were great. And they store so well. They're kind of like long-term
Breakfast crackers.
They call them breakfast crackers. Yeah, they're great. And
Oh, I've just flicked you up a family
tubs,
court thing you probably don't want to
huge
see. Hang on a
tubs
minute.
of them. Yeah,
Right. Watch me
Hey,
pull
did
a
you
rabbit out of my hat. Oh, wrong hat.
Yeah, sorry. That thing about the family court was something from today's Magna Carta learning session that I did with Fitz earlier this morning. So I do apologise. This
Yeah,
is what I was trying to get uploaded. So get off, moth. Happening in Sydney at the Town Hall from 2 p.m.
Yep.
I thought it was 12.
No, we're gathering a bit earlier, but no, we're going at 2 p.m. in Sydney. Yeah. So
Brisbane City Hall from 12, Adelaide Parliament steps from 12, Melbourne Parliament steps from 12. That's where the Galactic Larrikins and myself will be. Will be easily identified as two fat blokes limping behind a tall, skinny white man with a black dog. I think that's.
we also now have
serious.
Launceston. Launceston's coming to the party, and we also have Canberra at the Russian embassy.
Excellent. So Launceston, hello Launceston. I'll be down there in a few, week or bit. I think I'm in Launceston on the 30th of October. We'll be doing a show from there. So looking forward to that. Can't wait. In fact,
more miles than the Leyland brothers, mate.
Can I just say on that?
Travel all over the countryside. That's the Leyland.
Hang on, you got to get us. No, you're going to be taken off. No, bloody copyright.
Like an owl. Greg the
combi.
God,
why don't I lay down on the ground? You can just stab me or kick me. I mean, shit.
All right.
Love having my friends on. They show such great respect.
No respect
And
for
now
your
I've forgotten what I
YouTube
was
channel
going
at
to
all.
say. It was going to be something important.
Was it? Okay. Well,
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking
you're
at
talking
them
about
like
Russians, and did
We're
you
talking about
in
traveling,
America,
actually.
they had
We're talking about traveling because none of us drive. We
traveling.
travel around the country.
Yeah,
right.
Don't sing it.
Like an hour, right? Good.
I just want to say, you've got no idea what it's like to try and work with these people, folks. Seriously. I mean, Neo is actually the star, and he's a black Labrador, for God's sake. So he's the sanest of the lot, and I've got to say, at times, generally, mostly one of the most intelligent. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Can you get him in? There we go.
Yeah.
That is Neo the Wonder Dog, and absolutely stunning piece of you. Yeah, and talk about travelling, he does it all too. So, the boys are on the road, not just me. I've got to say, though, I'm getting such an overwhelming response from people everywhere I go. I can't thank you folks enough. Dave, I know that you and I have both said to our audiences that, we know what people in Victoria have gone through, and, it's been hard for them, and, we've, rah, 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 go Victorians.
Yep.
I haven't been here since 2018. And what the people of Victoria have gone through is nothing like what the people I know in Queensland have gone through. The people in New South Wales that I've spoken to haven't been as traumatised as the people that I've found in Victoria. The people in Victoria have suffered tremendously. And I have underestimated that. I make an apology for it. I probably don't need to, because we can only guess what it's like because we haven't lived it. But now that I've met so many of you and heard so many of your stories at my shows, I've been stopped in the street. Dave, this is the wildest thing. I was paying for fuel the other day, and I walked up to the bloke and I said, "Oh, look, I'll have this, that, and the other thing, and that pump over there, please." And he looked over at the car and he looked at me and he said, "Oh, you sound like that Voice of Freedom bloke." And I took the Cali wind cheater off, which I barely ever get out of, and I had a Voice of Freedom t-shirt on underneath it, and like a skivvy kind of thing that was really warm. And I said, "Oh, well, there you go. Thanks, I'm Carl." Shook his hand. His name was Angelo. And young bloke, really surprised, young bloke. And he said, "Oh, I watch your show." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, great." And there was a few people piling up behind, and I didn't push it, but or he didn't push it. I let him go, sort of thing. But I was staggered. He picked my voice, and then he sort of had a good look at my face. That was it was my voice that triggered it for him. So I guess he listens to a podcast and watches it. So that's never happened anywhere else I've been, and people have been so wonderful at the events we've been to. And tomorrow night is going to be another big night for my place in Frankston, and that's why the Galactic Larrikins are in town. We're doing 2 big nights. We're doing Wednesday night and Friday night. Now, Wednesday night and Friday night, essentially, I suppose, are sort of kind of like ticketed events, but there's no tickets. Just go to the website, put your name down at the door, basically, and if there's room, you'll be allowed in. When the room's full up, I think they're limited to 150 people. We'll do the show, but then the doors will go open. The alleyways out the back here will come alive, and everybody can flow on, and the music will continue. And when I say music, I mean, yip ya, it's going to be a music show, folks. So instead of a Friday night free-for-all on Friday, we're going to launch the My Place at Your Place theme. And that is to bring this magnificent facility that we're sitting in. And I know I've got the logo up the back at the moment. That's because if I take that off, all you're going to see is Rob's bed. So the guys are actually staying here, sleeping inside my place for the next few nights.
Cool.
And they've got toilets, showers, everything they need, and that's what the community has here, right? So during the night, the boys will be here. During the day, it's the community opening house. Well, except for tomorrow, where we're setting up with all that gear and everything, where we'll take control for a little while. But after that, anybody can do what they like, and then we'll run the gear tomorrow night, see how it all works. We're expecting great success, and I know that because I left all the gear with the boys, and they've learned how to use it.
No pressure. I'd like to minimize expectations. A long time ago, I worked for Pizza Hut, and I was taught that if you keep people's expectations low enough, they won't be disappointed.
Well, on the Melbourne bit, Carl,
that's another one. Just take the whole thing now. I mean,
and sorry, Guru, we had a comment to pass on to you. If you could pass on to Simeon and to pass on to the Russian government, to let them know that it's not the Australian people, it's the government. So
yeah, exactly. That's what we're out to do, mate. That'll get over time.
Yeah.
But on the topic of Melbourne, yeah, look, we in New South Wales and that, we've been arrested, me and my wife, supposedly arrested for 5 minutes, while they do their thing, and we've been fined, we've been, harassed by helicopters, like you all know the stories, guys. But listen, it's just what it is. Okay, it is what it is, and we just need to stand now, guys. But the guys in Melbourne, Okay. I don't know what it would be like to be turning my back, moving away like me mate Mick and that in Melbourne and getting shot in the back with one of those big bullets. I don't know how I would react. I don't know what I would do. I don't know if I would continue the fight after I've been shot like that or seen a young kid beside me get banged in the head with one of them things. You know, the guy they killed at the railway station, just whacked him into the ground. You know, if I was there to witness that, I don't know what that would do to me psychologically. Yeah, the Melbourne people have been through, you know, they were scared shitless, mate. And I don't blame them, mate, you know, because look how they were getting treated. Unbelievable. You know, I since found out that when I done Vinnie Eastwood's show that actually they used direct energy weapons on the people in New Zealand as well. So it's us in New Zealand that they were used on, folks. Nowhere else in the world. Okay.
We're special.
Yeah, we're special. But I mean, you Melbourne people, you know, the direct energy weapons were direct energy weapons. But I tell you what, when you see all them guys coming at you with guns propped up, and them guys, you know, you've seen the footage, them guys were taking aim, mate, and they were popping people. You know, so yeah, Melbourne guys, I've always tipped my hat to you. Okay, you're absolute legends. Just keep going, guys. Don't worry about what's going on down there within your ranks and that, right? Just turn up each Saturday, do your shit, all right, and keep the pressure on that frigging government, all right, because Andrews has got to go. Somehow or other, guys, we got to push him out.
Yeah. How do you push him out if there is an expectation that and I've got to say, this takes me back to 2020, when there is an expectation of a cheat going down. How do you?
The whole thing is that, this is the issue though. The whole thing is a cheat because the system is designed that way. It's mainly the mainstream media that present a narrative and create this narrative, and that's the biggest way that they can influence the popularity contest is through the mainstream media. If they actually told the truth, things would be very, very different.
So just on that point,
here, will we?
Just on that point, have you seen in the last few days that there have been some very interesting things happening in mainstream media regarding, you know, the story? This has all been triggered because of the UN asking questions of Pfizer that yielded answers nobody was particularly expecting, particularly like, well, nobody thought that the spicy dart was going to save or stop transmission. Now, the media seem to have grabbed a hold of that. I saw on news.com.au a very good, detailed article about it.
Timeline of all the times they said it.
Wow. And I noticed I got sent some video from, they didn't send it, but Studio 10. There are two girls and a guy on there, an Irishman. Now, the two girls, one sort of stayed out of it, one bowed into it, and basically admitted she did it for whatever reason, you know, to look after family, to do the right thing. The guy admitted that he'd been spicily jabbed and would do it again, but that wasn't the point. The point was that they were told they were doing it for A, B, and C reasons, and now A, B, and C reasons have been admitted by the drug companies to be completely wrong. Yep. Now, you'll see other articles in other media, and I'm sure on news.com.au you'll see them probably underneath that article, where they're going to say, oh, you know, that's not the case. You know, that never really happened that way. We never said those words. We didn't use that terminology, but we have it. You're on video. Well, I was going to say videotape.
But Snopes says it's false. It didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's where our fact checkers come in. So they too have been discredited. Facebook, in particular, even Zuck himself has admitted that their fact checkers,
almost,
are merely opinions.
Yeah,
you know, they don't have.
We got one today. We got one today, Carl. I'll just read you this one, mate. This come into our Stop the Rot page from
Joe.
from Joe, a journalist. Okay. Hi, I am Joe, journalist with AAP Fact Check. I'm reaching out regarding a claim made by Red Phil Glenn in this video at 11:08 minutes. Serious, man. He claims UK government admitted the COVID something, damages immune systems, making people vulnerable to other viruses. He also references a government document, but does not state which. I'm reaching out to see if you can clarify this claim, specifically what government docs Glenn refers to and when you have heard this claim. I would appreciate a response by the end of the day. Thank you, Joe. That's it. That's what we got, folks. All right. This is on my channel. All right.
I have never, ever, ever heard of a checker checking
Guru.
like that. Have you?
Hey, now, are we spruiking truth or are we spruiking truth? When I get the fact checkers coming straight to my doorstep, mate, sending me a message. Unbelievable. That's serious. That's what we got.
There's a reason people bow down to him. Guru.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They stand right beside me.
You should send him a link to Dr. John Campbell's Dr. John Campbell's YouTube channel.
Oh, we've sent off the document. We're sending the documents off to him. We're not going to rush, but we are going to send them back to him.
Knock yourself out, mate.
So anyway, there you go. That's fact checking for you in the real world.
Absolutely. I was saying earlier I'm just grabbing my phone out because I want to get the word right. I said that we were going to learn a new word tonight, folks. Some of you may have heard this word. Some of you may not have heard this word. If you haven't heard this word, go and do a bit of research on the word. Can you hear those sirens? I'm just waiting.
They're coming to shut you down.
Don't think I have.
I didn't say that many bad things, did I?
There's a reason that we usually have the bald fella on, I'll tell you that. He knows the rules. Yeah, you are. Very trying hard.
Yeah, my dad told me I was very trying.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, get your pens and paper out because I will spell this word. And it is one of those terms that you're probably going to need to look up in a medical sense. Amyloidosis or amyloidosis. 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 Now, I will post up a link. See if I can email it to myself off the phone here and bring it in. I'll post this link up to an article that will show you about it, but I encourage you to go and do your own research, as always. Amyloidosis, let me just read you a little bit of it here. Amyloidosis is a rare disorder that happens when proteins in your body change or mutate, turning into twisted clumps of misshapen proteins that gather on your organs and tissues. Some amyloidosis types affect specific organs, such as your heart, kidneys, liver, lungs. Anything sound familiar? All right. Other types spread throughout your body. Treatments include organ transplantation, chemotherapy, or targeted therapies. What is it? It's a rare disorder that happens when proteins in your body change or mutate, become twisted clumps of misshapen proteins that gather on your organs or tissues. Amyloidosis can be widespread, that's systemic, or localized to one area. Systemic is the most common form of amyloidosis, affecting organs and multiple tissues. In some instances, systemic amyloidosis may cause life-threatening organ damage. Anything sounding familiar?
Very much.
Just so.
Isn't there something going on out in the community like this, Rob? Something's happening, like something around like this sort of stuff?
How does amyloidosis affect my body? Healthcare providers call amyloidosis the protein misfolding disorder. The protein misfolding disorder. I haven't looked at the chat. Somebody has probably said, can you spell it again? AMYLOIDOSIS. Amyloidosis. I'm actually reading this from my.clevelandclinic.org. So I'm reading this thing off my phone from that, my.clevelandclinic.org.
So that could be the American spelling. You may have to translate that to English.
Strine. I'll get a strine, mate. No to worry about that, mate. You're all right. Not a waka. All right, how does it affect my body? Healthcare providers call amyloidosis a protein misfolding disorder. Your proteins are long molecules that stretch out in long chains. They're multitaskers that do everything from providing energy, balancing fluids, and helping with immunity to providing structure, carrying material, and regulating your body's processes. Normally, proteins leave your bloodstream once they finish their assigned tasks. In protein misfolding disorder, proteins take on abnormal shapes that get deposited in many organs, can't be removed, and your body can't use them. These abnormal proteins navigate your bloodstream and find their way to healthy organs. They tend to clump together, making amyloid deposits, or fibrils, they're called, that may build up on different organs or in different places throughout your body. Systemic amyloidosis may affect just about any organ: heart, kidney, liver, GI tract, joints. Have we heard about joints? Mm-hmm. We've heard, yeah. Skin and blood vessels. Sometimes the amyloidosis deposits build up so much that they can cause organ failure. Think of like debris floating down a river that snags on a rock or a tree limb. Over time, more and more debris catches the snag, forcing the river to flow around the large snag. And just like debris caught on the snag, amyloidosis deposits accumulate with organs or inside your organs, eventually affecting organ structure and tissue function. You get the idea, folks.
Where have we seen this happen?
my.clevelandclinic.org. Where might we have seen this happen? If you are suffering things like joint pain, liver issues, heart, all that sort of stuff, ask your doctor about, can I get it to be seen? No, amyloidosis, amyloidosis.
This will end up like the D-dimer test. Any doctor that puts that into his computer or does anything about it will be taken off.
I also, Dave, I'll ask you now if you have the potential. I've been contacted by some people who have been able to collect a substance that has been raining down on them for a couple of days. And they're willing to send that to me to get it tested. Now, I ran into some people the other day who in Melbourne who said that there might be a potential way to get things tested. Unfortunately, the people involved with that have backed out. It's actually the company who's backed away from testing it, not the people who are introducing us. And I understand. Well, I understand their reasons to a point. But what we're looking for, folks, is a facility that can test a yellow orangey type substance, a powdery type substance even, that has been, I think it's all right if I say a general area of where it was discovered, the Gold Coast, and right along the coastal strip of the Gold Coast. So if there's anybody who can test this kind of stuff, can you get in touch at cherie@vofhq.com and put urgent in the thing. If you're serious, please don't abuse that. She'll look at that really quickly. But she only has so many hands, and let's not waste her time. This is pretty serious. If we can actually get this stuff clinically tested to find out what's in it, we might discover it's pollen. Yeah. Blowing off from a really pollen-filled bunch of, I'm thinking willow trees or flowers or wattle trees. Yeah. We might discover it's not. And
have have we done it correctly, Carl? Have we like bottled this stuff and then had it like labelled and sealed so that it's not, so that we can actually use these tests? Has it been actually done correctly or not?
To be honest, I don't know how it's been collected or stored. I assume, you'd get it up off the ground. There might be some dirt or something in it that where it came off the ground. Or
a chain of command is what I mean. We picked it up from this location. It was sealed up. Now it goes to the laboratory. It's unsealed. No one's opened the lid.
It's still with the people who kept it all. So we haven't even started.
If they're listening to this, that's something you need to do, folks. Is get it sealed up, have a chain of command on it. Otherwise, they go, that could have got contaminated anywhere along the process. They're very smart.
I think there's a few junkies around here who will test anything for you.
Oh, Rob. Welcome to Frankston, Rob. Yeah. The locals love you now, mate.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Get out. Get out. No, I mean, get out. Get out.
The first and last time that Rob from the Larrikins is allowed on his own on the show without his dictatorship mate called Bradford, who is such a great guy, Bradford. Such a great guy. Love you, Rob.
Yeah, that's him cackling in the background. That's him cackling.
Thanks, Guru. Hey, Guru, can I ask, how are you in two places at once? Apparently you're on Aussie Cosmic channel right now in a live interview.
Am I? He cuts stuff up quick, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, Cosmo won't like us staging him up like that.
Yeah.
So, all right. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Guru. I'll just put the thing back up again. This is all happening on Saturday, folks. We would love to. I'll lean that way. We would love to see you in Sydney, 2 p.m. At the Town Hall at Brisbane.
Yeah, get there a bit earlier. Get there a bit earlier, folks. Get there for midday, and we're all going to have a bit of a mingle, but it will start on stage at 2 p.m., all right? And then we're going to finish by about 4, and then,
Beautiful.
Anyway, that's where we are.
City Hall in Brisbane at 12. Parliament steps in Adelaide at 12. Melbourne Parliament at 12. And the Galactic Larrikins, if Rob is still alive, he'll be part of it, joining us. And Perth at Parliament at 2 p.m. Gold Coast, the convoy to Brisbane. That's going to get underway, I imagine, before the Brisbane event for 12 o'clock. So you might have to be listening a bit closer to other things.
Canberra at the Russian Embassy, and Launceston's now coming on tap too. So we'll find out more and let you know, folks.
Beautiful. All right, Guru, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks, viewers. Mate. Thanks, Larrikins. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Right. Cheers to Mel, mate. See you, mate. Now I'm going to have to do something I really don't want to do. I want to keep this, if you're watching None 2K, I want to keep this channel alive. And I seriously doubt that I'm going to be able to keep this show up on this channel. So, folks, if you are watching this, well, there's no point, because if they take it down and it stops, they're not going to. Well, look, if it disappears, it's on. I will leave it up on the other 1, 2, 3. Well, I might leave it up on 2 of the other 3 channels, and I'll save 2 just in case. I'll just see whether the other 2 get taken down or not. But I will upload this to Project Matilda, because Galactic Larrikins are aptly named, because you can't call them idiots.
The screen printers wouldn't.
No, screen. No. Sorry. I'm sorry for swearing to the lip readers. Yeah, it's bloody hilarious. I think that's what I'll do. I'll take this down from None 2K pretty much as soon as this live is ending. And if you want to watch it again, you'll be able to wait a little while and see it up on Project Matilda. It should have live streamed to Project Matilda tonight, but for some reason or other, I'm having a few issues. And it's my issues. It's not Project Matilda's. I mean, I was saying to Daniel the other day, and I'll give you an idea of how tech savvy I am. The young bloke who owns Project Matilda, runs Project Matilda, is Daniel. And I said to him, I'm having all this trouble. For some reason, it keeps saying, he said, oh, you're pasting in the right code and you're saving and you're generating and pasting and saving. Oh, yeah, I'm doing all that. I'm pasting and saving and generating and doing all that. And I happened to glance at the thing one night when it said, you're not going to where you should be. And instead of there being like a V for Voice of Freedom, there was like a small F, lowercase f, and that's a bit weird. Turned out that I'd pasted what we call the stream key into my nickname, and that's why it didn't work that night. So I'm having issues.
Not just with
Project Matilda's stream key. So, oh God, I hope you're laughing as much as we are here. We think it's bloody hilarious. At any rate, that's the story with that. Tomorrow night we are at my place in Frankston. Take no notice of dickheads' comments about who may or may not be hanging around outside. You don't need to worry about any of that shit.
That was a joke.
Oh, look, hang on. I've got hang on. This is the only galactic larrikin that will be appearing in future. Okay, the wonderful Neo. You can be guaranteed he won't say anything that'll get me kicked off. So Darren's event is coming up on the 11th of the 11th. And we would love everybody who can get to Melbourne for this to get to Melbourne for this. We would love everybody who is in Melbourne to come to this. We want to make this a 1 million person gathering at the Shrine. I'm going to call it a reassembly. I'm not going to call it a rally. You know my feelings on reassembling the weapon. We are the weapon, and individually we are just really tiny ones. But when we come together, we can be the biggest and unbeatable weapon. Well, let's show them that weapon, because the Shrine has some very interesting, very sacred things to it. And the 11th of the 11th, 11 minutes past 11 on the 11th of the 11th, 2022, is a very interesting set of numbers to be playing with. And it is the Shrine's 88th anniversary. So if you're into numerology, if you're into gematria, those numbers might mean something to you. And if they do, can you tell me? Because I've got no idea. So please, if those numbers come up to something specific that's really cool and we should know, we'd love to see that. But this, folks, is something we would love to see you at. And I will be coming back from Tasmania. So we're going down to Tasmania on near the end of the month, and we'll be there until after the end of the first week. We're doing shows in Penguin. We're doing a show in Penguin, a show in Launceston, and a couple of shows down near Hobart. We're also doing 3 days of Magna Carta education, and basically all that is 2 hours a day, having a bit of a chat with Fitz and I. And after 3 days, if you feel the urge, you'll be able to take the oath and know that you're doing so, well, at least what we think is the correct way. We haven't had anybody dispute us too badly yet, although some of you may have watched our interview with Mike Holt. Fitz and I had a chat with Mike a little while back. Why are Dave and Mel sending me invoices? I don't know. I'm getting weird, these email pop-ups. They're sending me invoices. Oh, for advertising me maybe around the place. Good on them. God, I love them. Well, I haven't reached 10,000 people on YouTube yet. I think there was somebody sent me an email, said that they conducted an experiment and had 1,500 people try and subscribe, on the one show night, and asked me how many increase I'd seen overnight, and I said 1.
Oh, you're kidding.
So
Wow.
YouTube are not going to let me, or they're not going to easily let me get to 10,000. And I don't know why. It's not like they pay me anything. I mean, if they kept my stuff up longer, I might get some pay out of it, but they don't, because I've got great friends like the Galactic.
Sorry.
Right. All right.
I
So.
think I'm funny.
Yeah, he's bloody hilarious. So the Shrine on the 11th of the 11th, 2022. Please, if you can get to Melbourne, we're going to hang around for it. I'll be back in Melbourne, I think, on the 7th of November. And because we missed our Shepperton show because of the floods, we're going back to Shepperton on the 8th of November. Could squeeze in another show. There might be some talk of going down to Gippsland. There was some talk potentially of going to South Australia. Bugsy, Parham, the lovely Susie, and potentially the wonderful Maddie Fry in Mount Gambier. Maybe there's some folks in Mount Gambier that might like us to come do a show over there. There are some folks in Adelaide who are keen for us to go over there. We had planned to go back to Queensland. But the 11th, I think if we can hang around Victoria, do Shepperton on the 8th, drive back to Melbourne on the 9th. I mean, I had a great day. I don't know that I got to say it last night too much, but I had an absolutely wonderful day yesterday. We wound up driving down to Portsea and had a look at Portsea Back Beach and whatnot. And I got to see a school camp that I went to as a 9-year-old and haven't seen since. So, yeah, relived a few little memories there and a couple of personal ones too at the back of Frankston. And I won't tell you what those are about. No, it had nothing to do with the Dandenong police paddocks for those ladies and gentlemen who know what I'm talking about there. You'll have to come to a live show to find out about that. And yeah, it's been a wonderful trip so far. So thank you very much to everybody who I've met so far and the folks who are sending me emails on a daily basis. I'm trying to get to them all. And if you are looking for a show, don't email me. I have a pile of emails bigger than I can jump over. And I tried to clear a lot of them this morning. Believe it or not, I got through over 300 emails this morning. They're just the ones that I get subscribed to, and they're all crap. So you delete those. None of them were yours. But I did get to read quite a few more of yours, and some of you have got replies. I can't reply to everyone, I'm sorry. But I am fighting my way through, and the really important stuff, it might be down the chain. I'll get to it. I promise. It's just time. And doing a bit of driving today and yesterday, for instance, was good days. I was able to get into the email and clear a lot of it, but it fills up again overnight. A lot of people asking who's going to be on the show tomorrow and Friday. I don't know, to be honest. Darren Bergworth is being a secretive-ish kind of bloke. I do know a few names. I do know a few acts that are coming. But the shows tomorrow night and Friday night are going to be very different to just a sit down and a bit of a chat show. The big difference being Rob won't be allowed in front of a camera or near a microphone if there is a channel left to put a show on. Right? So, but aside from that, and should his nibs here be able to get the thing in focus, we plan to bring you a really interesting show to show you how My Place works and how the people react to it and the people working within it and what it's doing for the local artist community, particularly because we're going to have a lot of artists. In fact, over those 2 nights, I think we're going to have maybe up to a dozen artists coming in and doing a couple of songs. And this will be everything from fairly alternative stuff through to soloists who've written their own stuff and are, great. I haven't seen or heard any of it. So it's going to be a learning experience for us all. So the My Place at Your Place is going to be a sort of an unveiling, if you like. And this will be the first iteration. The one that we wind up taking on the road might look something like this because, after all, it's going to be at your place. That's the plan. The place is to get my place set up at your place everywhere. So I know that there are plans afoot in Singleton. After our event at South Morang the other day, I think Thomastown, Doncaster, Mildura, and I think Darren said to me there have been 2 more have come on board, 2 more venues with land. It's important. Some of these places have land with them, 15, 20, 30 acres. Big shed, come and have a My Place there. But let's start growing stuff as a community. So the people who own these sheds and the land are offering it to us to come and join them in their community. So if you have a shed and some land that you could donate and have the people come and use like that, and when I say donate, it doesn't mean you've got to sign over the land or anything like that. But let's be reasonable. We want to make a My Place venue, so you're going to have to be involved and invested in the whole process if this is something you're prepared to offer up. And if you're prepared to let the people plant a few things in, a portion, I don't know how many acres, because I'm not a farmer. I don't know how many acres you need to grow lots of things, but lots of different things. All don't want to be growing the same thing. So if there is people like that watching right now, please contact Sheree, SHEREE, at vofhq.com. This is something that I know Sheree is, really in favour of. So she'll certainly be able to help and direct you on the kinds of requirements that we're looking for. I mean, Darren doesn't have land per se. This facility is located in basically the CBD of Frankston, but it's what you'd call like an inner city, inner suburban, venue. It's a great little place, and the boys are nodding enthusiastically because I won't let them talk anymore. But you get the idea. He hasn't got a paddock beside him where we can grow something, but you might. And if that's the case, we want to get a My Place happening at your place. And there is, if we don't have it already, then there will be a little step-through process to get that happening. I really hope that you can come and join us on that. Go ahead and look up amyloidosis and get acquainted with that. And ask your doctor if you happen to be going for whatever reason. And particularly if you happen to be going in for surgery and you haven't had the spicy dart, remind them that things like know words like amyloidosis, what I'm trying to say, amyloidosis, and remind them that you know what it does. Remind them that you have a blood test that says, an antibody test that says you are clear of the spicy dart, and you expect to have another one of those blood tests done after your surgery, and you expect the same result, because certainly in Queensland, and I'm pretty confident anywhere across Australia, doctors have been given the go-ahead to administer your first dose of the spicy dart if you haven't had it while you're under anaesthetic. Without your consent, without your knowledge. The first time you'll know about it is when you get an SMS saying, hello, you're now ready to come in for your second shot. That'll be what happens. So bear that in mind. Amyloidosis. Nice word to learn. Thank you to the gentleman who tipped me off for that. We're going to hear a lot more about that in the future, folks. That's a very important medical term. And for what's happening at the moment, if you want to go and look up all the other terminology that's involved with the spicy dart, you'll find that a lot of what happens with the dart happens with proteins. So go ahead, climb in, do a little research. Don't take my word for it. Please do not take my word for it. That's what we're here for. Try and make you think about going to do your own thing. So thank you very much for your attendance on this evening. It's a little chilly in Melbourne. I hope it's a little warmer where you are. And for those folks where it's very, very wet and you're still recovering from floods, or maybe still going through those in certain parts of Northeast Victoria and Northern Victoria at the moment. And I'm not sure about Tasmania. I think we haven't heard too much news out of there. So the boys are sort of shaking their heads too, but they do that a lot. They're a bit like nodding dogs. Remember those heads on springs? Anyway, it's been a pleasure. If you can get down here for the show tomorrow night or Friday, we'd love to see you. If not, we may see you at an event on Sunday. And then we will be on the road, funnily enough, together. I'll be driving Rob's car because
you won't need us.
He'll be travelling in a van, a really cold van. At any rate, he has to get his car back to Canberra somehow, and I couldn't sit with the smell. So I'll take his car back. Rob will take other ways, and we'll be in Canberra for a night, maybe two. And then I'm going to do a show from Sydney. I don't know from where in Sydney. Being we have a laptop and we can go absolutely anywhere with a little bit of power. We might go and sit in a park with a nice, Harbour Bridge backdrop or something like that. Or if it's freezing cold, we'll do it with a backdrop like this out in front of the men's toilets of a local pub. Can turn out either way sometimes. So we'll see which way it eventuates in Sydney. Sydney can be like that. Until then, tomorrow night will be great. I'll probably do a couple of little short ones during the day on None 2K if the channel is still alive. And don't forget, tomorrow night we will go live probably from about 7 o'clock tomorrow night. They've got a lot planned for us. So I think we'll go live from about 7 o'clock. That's Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So if you're interested, love to see you join us then. And there'll be a whole heap of really cool stuff, I think, that's going to come through tomorrow night, and some interesting music, some interesting people to talk to. I guess that's the thing when you come to a city the size of Melbourne, the cultures, the quality of the mix of the culture, the ideas. This is the thing that's getting me here. I was talking to people. I was going to say goodbye. I'm about to hit the button. I'm going to talk again. You know what I mean?
What's new?
What's new? I was talking to some people at the markets here the other day, and two gents in particular had said that they couldn't believe the feeling of love and unity, and they could talk to anybody at the markets. Didn't matter colour, creed, nothing. Everybody was open to talking, and every conversation was easy, friendly, lovely, and wonderful. And they hadn't been to a place like that before. There'd always been some sort of a barrier, whether it's someone wearing a mask or, a language barrier or whatever. But I said to them, there's a reason I believe for that. And that is, when we come to something like My Place and you watch shows like this and Guru and Simeon and others, Call me Cossack. Beg your pardon, Cossack. You build a... God, now you've thrown me, you bastard. It's clear I cannot do a show with the Galactic Lanarkans anywhere near me. 100% clear. When I get off the air, I'm going to take them outside and I'm going to give them a very stern, I know I'm saying it with a smile, but I'm going to give them a very stern talking to. I don't think it's going to go well. I was going to say something really important then, really profound. No, I wasn't. I'm just full of shit. Whatever it was, I apologise, and it's their fault. We will move on regardless. I'll get back to hitting the close button. Shit, I hate it when I lose the train of thought. I'm worried I'm getting Alzheimer's. People have offered me all sorts of solutions for it. Some of that stuff they've offered to inhale, I'm not sure all that sure about.
Neuralink.
Is that what they call it these days? All right, folks. Tomorrow we'll speak then, and hopefully there'll be a channel on. So when this live ends, I'll leave it up for. I'll get away till the morning, maybe, but I'll pull it down after that, and we'll leave it for there. Oh, I've got a couple of donations. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, look at that, 566 comments I haven't seen. Eat my vegetables. Yes, you're right. Yes, I am very tired. Thank you for noticing. Smack 'em, Carl. Yeah, thank you. Smack 'em is right. Oh shit! Yeah, look, folks. I'll have a read of those afterwards because it's very rude of me to sit here and read them while you're talking. So go forth, do what you do. I'm sorry we're a bit late tonight. One of the things that I'm discovering while I'm traveling, and it's a wonderful thing to discover, but it makes my life a little difficult, is that when I'm staying in certain places, and everybody likes to have a meal at night, and that's quite reasonable for you to want to sit down and have a meal. And if I'm a guest in your house, it's quite reasonable for you to expect that I might like to sit down with you and have that meal. Because of the times and the things that I do, and you'll see if I ever come to your house, I don't get off the phone. I don't get off the computer. It's not a 24-hour-a-day job, but it is something that is constantly demanding of my time. And because of when the show has to go together, and we usually like to try and put it out at 7:30 at night, I have to prepare certain things beforehand, and it takes time. Invariably, that time usually is when most people would like to sit down and eat dinner. So I don't like being rude, and of course I would go and have dinner if that was the case. But that means I've pushed the show back, and tonight that's exactly, in fact, what happened. I don't want to be rude. I'm sharing the home with some wonderful people, and so that if the shows get a bit rocky time-wise, that is the reason why. I don't have the ability to say no, essentially. So I love meeting people. I love meeting you all. And the last thing I want to do is be rude in your house if I'm staying with you. So if I do come, we're going to have some expectations. Yes, I'd love to sit down and talk and hear everything about you. And yeah, and we will figure out a way and time to do that. I just don't want to be rude. So I've been shown so much love, and I would never disrespect anybody or wish to disrespect anybody in that way. So yeah, that's why I'll bump the show every time if that's the case, because I will not be rude to people whose house they've opened up to have me in. So I'm sorry if that impedes on your world for a night or an hour or a day or puts things out, but that's just how it is. So thank you very much for your understanding with that, I hope. And on that lovely note, which was nothing else I prepared to talk about, and the Galactic Larrikins didn't throw me off that. Round of applause for the Galactic Larrikins. Okay, you can be safe on the road tonight, folks. You know how we talk about the dickheads? They're all here.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!